I'm Ken Merkel from Exo Execute in Alberta, Canada. I'm excited to join you today to talk about SciFi Hive and how you can use this unique method to tap into your organization's imaginations and envision new and brighter futures. But why do you need this in a corporate environment? Well, we're at the start of the fourth industrial revolution, and every industrial revolution has disrupted industries, but this one's very different than the last three, because the last three really comprised of one disruptive force each and mostly impacted production. Now, the first industrial revolution gave us steam-powered machines, and this moved us into a mechanization era, allowed us to produce faster. The second gave us assembly lines. Now, with electricity and new processes for mass production, we were able again to speed up production and lower costs. The third gave us computers, digitization, and automation. Now, this started the process of moving from a physical world to a digital one. And along with that automation, industry is able again to increase production and lower costs. It also started this shift into the fourth industrial revolution, where everything is changing. So not only do we have dozens of technologies, they're all advancing and democratizing very quickly. They're moving into our physical space and replacing our physical products with digital products and shifting not only products, but even human nature itself. Now, all of these technologies and many more are doubling in price performance every couple of years, in some cases even faster than that. But further to that, they're cross-pollinating to produce exponential amount of global change. This is causing technology to change our world in ways that it's very difficult for us to imagine. But what if I said that there was a proven way for us to imagine these new futures? A way to tap into the wonder we had as children, where anything was possible. See, the problem isn't that technology is changing our world so quickly. It's that the linear nature of the adult brain makes it difficult for us to envision what that future could look like. Now, as technology and price-performance ratio doubles every couple of years, our possibilities become limitless. What's not possible today will be possible in 10 years. And if you're not looking that far out, you're going to be disrupted by somebody else who is. And with technology changing at a rate much faster than humans are capable of, we need tools that re-engage our imaginations, remove our biases, help us think further out in an exponential way so we can take advantage of the democratization of technology. So Albert Einstein famously said, "To stimulate creativity, one must develop the childlike inclination for play." And Pablo Picasso said, "Every child is an artist." The problem is how to remain an artist once we grow up. Somehow what's totally natural for every child seems unnatural when we're adults. So what is imagination? Well, Webster defines imagination as the ability to form a picture in your mind of something that you haven't seen or experienced, or the ability to think of entirely new things. Now, every child is born with an imagination like that. So to a child, being a non-expert is their asset for growth. Being a naive child means learning how the world works or doesn't work is as easy as trying something, making mistakes, and adapting, which is something that's sometimes difficult for us adults. Now, as we grow up, we come to be an expert on how to live within the bounds of what is known. So that generally has ensured happy and healthy lives. So you don't have to look very far to see how this transformation occurs, how we go from a naive toddler to a knowledgeable youth, some say maybe not knowledgeable youth, but finally into experts as adults. As we become good at life, we develop habits of thought that serve us well. These habits are called executive functions, and they're important for success in today's world. So with them, we become more effective at what we do, and they enable us to effortlessly navigate our daily life. We adapt to social norms and accepted ways of thinking, which makes us generally more effective with people and society in general. But they also make us prisoners of our own success. Sticking with what works in the past has generally made us more successful, but also less creative. So often the cost of the experience that we have is our imagination. We trade one for the other. So to a child, a spoon can be anything they can imagine it to be. It can be a car, a guitar, a boomerang, a drumstick, a mirror, any number of other things. And give them a box, and it could be anything. Now, as we grow and we become experts in life and work, it becomes more and more difficult to see around what we or society expects things to be. As a result, many experts are only good at what's proven. Creativity comes secondary to what we already know and believe. And as an adult, it's often difficult to see a spoon as anything but a spoon. Unfortunately, what worked in the past might not work in the future. It might seem that I'm saying that all is lost and there's, no hope for us adults to be able to come up with new ideas. Maybe there's a subset of creative people that can keep that childlike imagination and dream up new things. But, it's actually available to all of us because you don't lose your imagination. It simply becomes less socially acceptable to pretend play and use your imagination as you get older and in the workforce. So what we need is new tools that bring us back the gift of childlike imagination. A tool that allows us to tap into the collective imaginations of our organizations, or even of our customers. If you think back to when you were a child, and you remember reading comic books or acting out characters with your friends, do you remember what it felt like to be immersed in play? Where any stick was a sword, any pile of mud could be a cake. And what if I said we can help your organizations regain that childlike imagination that made anything possible? So introducing SciFi Hive. It's a tool that uses science fiction and comics along with your organization's staff, customers, or community to open up their imaginations to new and better possible futures, to write a compelling future narrative for your organization, and at the same time gain buy-in. By creating that vision together with your staff and customers or community, you get instant buy-in from them. As they say, those that make the plan don't fight the plan. So why science fiction and why comics? As I've mentioned, science fiction and comics have a way of removing our biases, opening up our childhood imaginations again, to tap into the power of your organization's inner child to come up with truly new and innovative ideas. If you look at popular science fiction, it may seem that they're incredibly good at predicting the future, but that's not really what they do. What science fiction does is show us a compelling and desirable future that allows us to see possibilities which motivate us to action. As Jean-Luc Picard says, to make it so. So Star Trek's a great example, because there's at least a dozen things in our lives right now or on the horizon that originated from Star Trek. So did Star Trek predict the cell phone with their communicator? No, the cell phone was created from that vision, and it was enabled by Star Trek. In fact, I think we've gone way beyond the communicator with our devices nowadays. Our communicator doing everything from tracking our health, helping us find our way with GPS, taking photos with higher quality than any camera 10 years ago, allowing us to communicate via video all over the globe, and a multitude of other functions. There's even an X Prize to create the Star Trek tricorder. So that's the device that uses sensors to scan, analyze, and record data and diagnose medical conditions. Now, the prize required teams to develop technologies capable of accurately diagnosing a set of 13 medical conditions, independent of a healthcare professional, with the ability to continuously measure 5 vital signs and have a positive consumer experience. Now, that just seems way out there, like a near impossibility. But phase 1 of that X Prize was actually awarded recently. It's another milestone in the Star Trek legacy. Watch for the tricorder on the market in the next 5 to 10 years. So you've got to be thinking, I can't take comic books to my leadership or my board of directors and have them take me seriously. They're going to think I'm a clown. Well, SciFi Hive is actually based on sci-fi design intelligence that was originally created at Lowe's Innovation Lab. They followed a process using professional artists and professional writers to develop future narratives for Lowe's based on market stats and trend data. It worked extremely well for Lowe's. The comics that were developed for Lowe's turned them into a global leader in augmented and virtual reality, autonomous robots, exoskeletons, 3D printing. I'm sure you didn't know that. And also, they partnered with Made in Space to create the first 3D printer in space that reuses materials from past prints to create new things. Now, unlike Lowe's Innovation Lab, not everyone has a team of science fiction writers or graphic artists available to them like Isaac Asimov, nor do they have the budget to spend weeks of time creating a masterpiece comic. So we set out to see if we could tap into the collective childhood imagination of any organization. Would the idea of using sci-fi to write new, compelling future narratives work with any group within your hive, so to speak? Our first test was with a group of 60 government IT staff. Although many of them like science fiction, they are definitely not science fiction writers. We planned a 2-hour session with a group of those IT staff, and a couple of days before the session, we provided the group a bunch of data and research on available technology, much like you'd get in week 1 of an Exo sprint. We didn't tell them anything else, except to say it was going to be exciting, and we ourselves really didn't have any idea what it was going to work or not work. On the day of the session, we did a quick introduction teaching the basic structure of a good narrative. We provided some tools like paper and crayons and colored pencils. Finally, we gave them the topic. So their topic was the future of workforce development. We split them into small teams and sent them off for the next 90 minutes to come up with stories of the future anywhere from 10 to 20 years out, using the knowledge they gained over the past couple of days around exponential technologies. When we brought them back together, they shared 8 incredible stories of futures far beyond my expectations. They were truly compelling stories that made us want to run off and create those possible futures. Now, the one that really resonated with me was the story of a truck driver that worked at Walmart. Now, one day his boss came to him and told him in 6 months the company would be moving to fully autonomous trucking, and he'd be out of a job. Now, he went home in despair. He didn't want to tell his wife and kids that he only had 6 months left to work. He was scared for his family's future because he only had a grade 10 education, and truck driving was really the only skill he's ever had. So he went online to find new truck driver jobs and came across a virtual reality education site, and it spurred him into action. Over the next 6 months, he worked diligently getting his autonomous repair technician certification via virtual reality education. On the day he was supposed to be let go from Walmart, he accepted his new position as lead autonomous technician at Walmart with a pay raise to boot. What a great, compelling story. And within the pandemic situation, everyone working virtually, we had the opportunity to take this to the next level and run a SciFi Hive process online with a large global community. At the Exo World Summit, April 14th to 16th, we ran our process with more than 70 participants from all around the globe. We had all ages, all races, all genders. In a 2-hour session, we had 8 teams of people that were all strangers come together to develop future visions in health and wellness, education and learning, environment and planetary health, prosperity and economy, and finally, life in general, 10 to 20 years from now. Again, the results were extraordinary. Most of the participants said not only was the entire online conference better than any in-person conference they've ever been to, but that SciFi Hive session was the highlight of the 3-day event. They found the process mind-blowing and like nothing they've ever been part of before. It was able to expand their thought into truly transformative Star Trek futures instead of towards the Mad Max futures we seem to be heading towards. We followed that up with a session for Exo Business Heroes Africa. They focused on what the future of finding work could look like 10 years out. Again, this one was done online with participants from across the globe. It was a bit of a teaser event, so it was really only 45 minutes long. Yet the participants still found they were able to expand their imagination to ideas that were new, to really change the way they looked at problems and how to tackle them. Since then, we've run quite a few sessions that tap into an organization's imagination, developed compelling future visions, and the results have been consistent. Each time we run a session, the participants feel passion for the resulting visions and are extremely engaged in figuring out how to take the next step to make these futures possible. So I want to take you back to your childhood memories. Remember reading those comics, imagining a world where you could fly or have super strength or be invisible. Really a world without limitations where anything was possible. SciFi Hive can bring you and your organization back to that, opening up your minds to new possibilities. And it's not just the creation of the comics that move you into believing mindset, but also by reading them. By putting your innovative ideas in a science fiction or comic format, you suspend disbelief for the reader, even if just for a minute. You remove any of their biases and allow them to see that those futures are possible. Once you create believers in those future visions, then you start to think, why can't we make that possible? Through a SciFi Hive, you'll turn your organization and your customers and your community and your leaders into believers in that future vision. And once you've got a compelling future narrative, then you can focus on how to get there. You can massively accelerate moving towards that future vision through initiatives today that will take you one step closer to that future vision. Through the Exo Sprint process and the 10 times accelerated delivery process, we can help you achieve that vision 10 times faster. So if you want to transform your organization, it's time to think 10x. 10x further out, 10x faster, 10x better. SciFi Hive can help your organization change its future from a Mad Max future to a Star Trek future. So visit us today to gain the tools to envision that new future and become the disruptor rather than the disrupted. Thank you.